Today, we're going to be telling some stories, but at any time, the other person can interrupt and give the storyteller a prompt, and the storyteller has to continue the story whilst adding on in relation to whatever prompt is given.
Yes.
So, for example, the story you're going to be telling right now, a classic children's story, Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And at any time, I could give you a prompt like horror, and you have to continue the Goldilocks and Three Bears, but make it into something related to horror. You have a good idea of what you need to do?
I think I've got a pretty good idea.
All right, let's do this.
All right.
Jacob, begin the story.
Once upon a time, there was a girl named Goldilocks. She was suddenly very hungry, so she decided to go find some food.
Pirates.
And then on the near shore, a bunch of pirates came along and asked, "Hey, little girl, what might you be doing?" And she told the pirates, "Well, I'm just going to look for some food. If you could be so kind as to help me look for..."
Keep telling the story, but act as if you're a robot.
But then she replied, "Yes, please help me find food. I am starving, please." And so the pirates replied, "Of course, we can do anything for you." And so they decided to help work together to find...
Keep telling it, but now it's a traumatic war story.
And so they rampaged the nearest city and took all of their food, leaving none in their path. And then when they got back, they slaughtered the animals like the savages they are and cooked all their food on top of the fire.
Now it's a zombie movie.
And all of a sudden, all the pirates died and turned into mindless eating zombies, and couldn't control themselves. And now they were after Goldilocks, and so she shrieked and running in fear to the nearest shelter to run away from these pirate zombies.
Now it's an educational kids show.
And now the mindless eating zombies suddenly got a cure, and now they're back to they were so cured they turned into just normal citizens, and they became friends once again with Goldilocks and decided to help her find some food. So they went to the nearest village to ask kindly for some food, and then they went back home and got together, set up the table, and ate a lot of food and had
Ghosts.
and now that they wanted to invite ghosts to their family, but sadly the ghosts could not eat because the food would just pass right through them. So they decided, hey, we can just make food specially for ghosts. And so everyone was happy, having a great time, eating together, enjoying everyone's company, telling jokes, having a grand old time, and they lived happily ever after. The end.
Good job!
Alright.
Once upon a time, there was a very confident hare and a very, very nice tortoise. The tortoise was very slow, and the hare was very fast. And the hare decided to challenge the tortoise to a race.
80s fitness instructor.
And so, to prepare, the hare went over to a fitness instructor, and the fitness instructor said, "Okay, move those legs, come on, keep going," and the hare felt ready. Do you feel ready? Let's keep on moving those legs just like the hare.
Papa's Royal King.
And so, the beautiful hare, quite as beautiful as me in my crown and my robe, set off, prepared to fight against the tortoise in a foot race. The most wonderful foot race ever seen to man, even more beautiful than mine own. And
Cooking show.
And so, the hare was prepared to make turtle soup afterwards. Here's a basic instructions on how to make turtle soup. What you first have to do is you have to kill the turtle, and then you take the turtle, you extract it, and then you put it into the soup, add the broth, and then you add some beautiful spices. What I like to do, I usually add thyme. Thyme is the perfect spice. And then I add a little bit of parsley and salt and pepper. Don't forget the salt and pepper.
Rockstar.
And then we can have the race between the tortoise and the hare. The hare was fast and he was confident, but the tortoise had a secret plan. Slow and steady wins the race, and that's how he did it, man! And that's the story of the tortoise and the hare.
Alright. Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Goldilocks.
Goldilocks? I said little red.
Oh, I'm sorry. Whoops, start over. Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Little Red Riding Hood, because she has a red coat, All right, so she was instructed by her lovely grandmother to go and fetch some cookies from the nearby bakery, and so she.
Superhero.
And so she, just by the touch of a cookie, turns into a super buff superhero, and so she grabs a whole bunch of cookies, blasts out of the bakery, and flies over to her grandma's house. Plunging straight through the roof and into the grandmother's house, and gave her a whole bunch of cookies.
Horror.
But to her surprise, the cookies were poisonous, and she suddenly got ill. And the only cure was to go down to the basement and turn off the lights and do some mystical chant to cure her grandmother, and so she could feed her some cookies once before. And so she had to actually prepare the cure, so she had to actually go to a very...
James Bond.
Actually, she had to go to a very secret undercover base, which was run by none other than James Bond, who was more than happy to comply with Little Red Riding Hood's request, and drove over to her house, actually the basement, and gave the grandmother the cure. And so they got out of the basement and drove both of them to the house so they could once again enjoy the cookies. And the grandmother requested James Bond to stay over, and he was like, sure, I haven't eaten cookies in forever, so I might as well stay. So they did, and had some cookies, and of course, you cannot have cookies without tea, so they poured some tea, had some cookies and tea, had a grand old time. A few times, cracked a few jokes here and there to liven up the conversation. And so James Bond says, like, oh, would you look at the time? I must be going. I have, certain duties to take care of. And so the grandmother and Little Red Riding Hood set
Transformers.
James Bond into the dimension of Transformers, where you can actually ride one of the Transformers, like Optimus Prime and Bumblebee, and so they can see the world from other races, and so
Post-apocalyptic.
And then out of complete nowhere, the zombies started appearing, and he said to all the Transformers, Autobots or roll out! And so they carried out their mission to destroy all the zombies and solve world hunger so they can prevent more zombie apocalypse from happening. And so they wouldn't have another problem on their hands, and they can peacefully roam the world in their robotic vehicles and live happily ever after. The end.
You rambled on for a bit. Tried to get every detail in there, huh?
Yes!
Once upon a time, there was a beautiful little girl. Everyone called her Cinderella. She worked a pretty bad job, and she had 3 very ugly stepsisters that were not very kind to her. And especially not kind to her was her mother, who was very mean and encouraged the stepsisters to treat her cruelly. Cinderella was not very happy until one day she had the opportunity to go to a ball. And so she needed to prepare a dress.
Bob Ross.
And so, to prepare a dress, what we need to do first is have a little wash of paint. Start over there. And then we continue on over here. You can see the dress starting to come out. Ooh, we made a happy little accident over here. So now, the dress is starting to come together very nicely. I think Cinderella will love this very much. And so we continue. We continue. Isn't this starting to look beautiful? I'm so glad you could all join me to see this dress come together for Cinderella.
Watch your movie, Boss.
And so, now that we got the nice little dress for our Cinderella, time to give it to her. But wait a minute, the stepsisters, they don't like that dress. They're gonna try and mess it up. So what they're gonna do? They're gonna mess it up. They're gonna mess it up real good. You get what I'm saying? And then they come on over here and they make Cinderella really sad. Until one day this fairy godmother comes over. The fairy godmother's real funny little creatures. And then she turns a pumpkin into a little carriage for Cinderella. And then she makes a bunch of horses magic. And a few little magic words, and Cinderella has a nice, even more beautiful dress than the one that was made for her before.
Shakespeare play.
And Cinderella said, "Wherefore art thou, my prince? Where shall we go to be able to dance together in thy beautiful ball? It is utmost importance of wonderful wonders that we, you and me, Prince Charming and Cinderella, come together and dance. A beautiful dance, the most beautiful dance anyone in thy kingdom has ever seen."
Sci-fi.
But then, out of nowhere, aliens came in. And they were ready to shoot everyone. And it turns out the fairy godmother was an alien all along. And she came in and she started shooting everyone at the ball, including Prince Charming. And Cinderella had to run away fast. But oh no, she left her shoe. And it was terrible, absolutely terrible. And Cinderella kept running and running back home, hopefully to break the spell that the fairy godmother or the alien in disguise had put on her. It was absolutely terrible. And so,
Biblical story.
and then Jesus came down and said, go aliens, go to Lucifer, gone with you, to hell with you. And they were gone. And then Jesus came unto the people and said, "Thou shalt not worry. Jesus has come here, your Savior." And all was saved. Thy beautiful kingdom come together. Rise in honor of Jesus and Cinderella. Wowie, wow, that was fun.
Yes, that was great.
Well, what was your favorite story?
I'd say the first and the last. The one that I did and the one, what was it? I think it had like something about like One Piece in it, and then you bringing up Jesus. That was great.
Yeah, that was fun. Oh man. Well, that's it. That's
Adios.
all. Yeah, see you next
Sayonara.
time.